David Swensen was given the job of running Yale's endowment, I think when he was 31 years old, and he passed away at the age of 63. So for that period of time, he apparently managed to produce outsized returns for Yale, and maybe about $47 billion of returns overall. So it's a fairly spectacular track record, and you got a chance to work with him, is that right?
I did.
And you also, at Bowdoin, when you were managing the endowment of Bowdoin, which we'll talk about in a moment, you had a chairman of your investment committee named Stan Druckenmiller, also a pretty famous investor. So what was it like learning from David Swensen and learning a bit from Stan Druckenmiller?
They are both amazing teachers, mentors, and good friends. David loved to teach, and he would, no question was too silly. And also, if there was an acronym and you didn't know what it was, he wanted you to ask the questions. We also worked really hard. It was like working at an investment bank. You know, even though we were at a university, we did a lot of due diligence. We traveled. We wrote these big books for the investment committee, and he was really amazing. And then he was long range. He thought really long term. Then I came to work with, you know, and I had Stan, and Stan is one of the most talented investors in the world. And he's a very short-termism. You know, he's a macro trader. So the funny thing with Stan, he could give you a great idea, and then the next day you're like, oh, I don't think this is working. And he goes, oh, I sold that yesterday. So he's in and out, whereas David was really long thinking. And the combination of that, for me, was the basis of, I think, a lot of my success in the investment world.
So let me ask you, before we go back to your background, in the last 10 years at Bowdoin, you outperformed, as I understand it, the investment returns of every single Ivy League university for that period of time, including Yale. So what did David Swensen say to you when you outperformed him?
Well, I always remember first of all, we gave him an honorary degree to thank him for training me and all that, and he was very proud of that. Also, one time, and before that, one time he was in my office and he was looking over an analyst's thing and at my performance, and he's like, "You're outperforming Yale." And David was very competitive. But I showed you earlier, he wrote me the most beautiful letter with a quote from Leonardo, poor is the student that does not outperform the master. And David was very gracious. He was very proud of that. You know, he also was very competitive, so he wanted his Yale Cubs or Yale puppies, whatever they were, out there. But he was very proud of me, and he was just a wonderful friend, and I miss him.